Hello and welcome to the Gold, Goats, and Guns Hour for a Monday, April 8th, 2019. I hope everybody's doing well. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. My name's Tom Luongo. And let's see how we can make this fly for us this evening. How we can make this work. So, let's try that again. Don't hit the power button on your monitor as you're trying to adjust it. It doesn't work very well. All right. For those of you who are new to the channel, you can please give a like and subscribe down below. Sorry I'm late, but, you know, sometimes these things cannot be helped, as it were. You can follow my work over Tom.me. You can follow me on Twitter at TFL1728. You can also support my work over Patreon/Gold, Goats, and Guns and sign up for the Gold, Goats, and Guns investment newsletter. All right. Let's try and figure out why I'm losing so many frickin' frames now. Shut that down. Is that going to be better? That's terrible. What the hell's going on here? All right, well, there must have been some kind of horrible bandwidth spike. All right, let's get started now that we've got some people on the channel, and we'll do the thing. Tonight, I want to talk about Europe. As always, Europe is incredibly important as we move forward with the rest of 2019. It's early April. It's a week before tax day. I know I've got a lot of work to do this week. I've got an article in the editorial over strategic culture that should be out tomorrow, Wednesday, something along those lines, talking about the latest developments with Matteo Salvini and the Eurosceptic movement. Now, I wrote it last night, and we've got some new information today, we've got some more meat on the bones as to what's going on. And it seems that Salvini, not only did Salvini meet with Marine Le Pen of France, of the National Rally in France, but he also met with the head of the AfD, Alternative for Germany, as well as the head of the Austrian People's Party. Got that one right. It's not Sebastian Kurz, it's the other one, the Austrian Freedom Party, sorry. There's an echo. Shouldn't be an echo at all. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. Did that help? If there's an echo, let's hope that that's what did it. Is that better? Tell me and let me know. Okay, so what's going on with Salvini and Le Pen and the rest of them is that they are absolutely ready to campaign to win the European parliamentary elections in May. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but let's just say that it's impressive that they want to do so. And the way the polling is working out, yeah, thanks, Boomer Tech, exactly. Also, Geared Viral's party, exactly. So, okay, great. Yeah, I don't know how I was screwing around yesterday trying to make sure that my sound was right. My microphone wasn't working, and I threw up another audio input device. So there were two of them trying to capture the stream. All right, so delete one microphone setting and everything's fine. All right, so not only do we have Salvini, Di Maio, Geared Virals, we have them all now, AfD, and they're all looking to, I would imagine, going to campaign under one rubric. I don't know whether they're going to start a new party, use one of the existing parties or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. The ENF, the Europe for Nations and Freedom or whatever, the European Group for Nations and Freedom, pretty much sounds like is pretty much dominated at this point by Lega, the Austrian Freedom Party, and National Rally. So they make up most of those seats anyway. They could just agglomerate the rest of those guys in. It would be is what it is. Stoyanovich brings up the point that without the British it'll be harder. Well, guess what, dude? The Brits are going to be there because Brexit's not happening on Friday. The Cooper-Letwin bill passed through the House of Lords today, paving the way for the Article 50 law to have been changed to an open-ended date. It's really quite disgusting. Theresa May is now talking about a second referendum. It really just does come down to, at the end of the day, we're watching the complete and utter betrayal of the English political class, of the people, by the of the people. It's disgusting, and there's just nothing to do about it. So the Polish Law and Order, the PIS, the Law and Justice Party, signed on as well, because that was going to be a sticking point. I know that the Guardian broke the story yesterday, and they kept saying, well, it's going to be really hard for them to put all that together because, you know, the Poles hate the Russians. Well, yeah, but, you know, Le Pen and Salvini aren't making any noise about the Russians at this point. They're talking about taking over European Parliament. And, you know, if you've got Hungary and Poland both having had Article 7 censoring procedures started against them, and you've got no other allies other than each other in the current European Parliament, then you can quibble about your Russophobia all you want, but if you want to stay in the European Union at all, you're going to need allies. And Salvini, Le Pen, Geert Wilders, the AfD, the Austrian Freedom Party, those are good guys to have around. So, you know, so yeah. It is what it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play this thing out now. And we're going to go one step farther than that. Okay. Getting back to the article I wrote last night, based on the headline I saw at Zero Hedge, and which got it from Reuters and otherwise. So right now, bottom line, there's going to be no Brexit on Friday. There's not going to be a Brexit at all, unless the European Parliament just says, no, you guys are just fucked. But I just don't see that happening. Merkel wants this to happen. Macron is not going to veto an Article 50 extension. I don't see Salvini doing it either, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. So, Rocket Man, I have 3 words for you. World War II. I'm not going to explain it to you. If you don't know why Poles hate Russians, crack a book. Don't need to be rude, but come on, man. So this is going to be impressive. At the very least, even if they don't wind up winning, right, getting a plurality, because they're going to need a plurality to win, to be able to set the agenda, because everybody else will gang up against them. They're not going to be able to get 35% of the vote, be the biggest party in the European Parliament, and then somehow be able to cobble a coalition together, because the rest of them are just going to say absolutely not. So it's just what it is. You know, so if you're, yeah, so it is what it is. But what's really interesting about what's going on, okay, is the following. Tie all that together and understand that Salvini has been incredibly smart in how he's played Europe to this point. So he started off by saying, okay, we're going to send in a budget that's going to make them apoplectic, and it's going to force them to come down on us like a ton of bricks. And he did that. And then he backed off a little bit. He did a huge big ask and said, we're not going to allow one migrant in, and we're going to do all these horrible things that are going to piss Brussels off. And it did. It pissed Brussels off. And it got everybody's goat, and it got everybody pissed off at him. And he took took everything on, right? And then at the same time, Europe then, of course, strikes back with multiple little niggling things to try and drive wedges between him and Di Maio of Five Star Movement. You know, the stupid Sicilian lawsuit trying to get him for kidnapping, and, you know, to try and drive a wedge within Parliament and break the government down. The whole MSM was breathless, like, oh my God, it could topple the Italian government, and they all had the vapors, for fuck's sake. It was really sad. And of course, nothing came of it. And this keeps going on and on and on. And every time there's the little teeniest bit of disagreement between Salvini and Di Maio, the entire European press and everybody just goes, "Oh my God, we told you it wasn't going to work. We told you it wasn't going to work." I'm like, and they're like, I think those guys are over there having a cappuccino, laughing their asses off, going, you know. So what are we going to disagree about tomorrow, Luigi? I don't know, Matthew. You tell me, because we should keep doing this. Because every time we do this, they think we're like actually fighting. Are you guys fucking high? It's just sad. And because you know that when the big stuff comes down the pike, for example, like Salvini and Di Maio going at it a little bit over Belt and Road about, you know, signing some deals with Xi Jinping when he was in town last week, and Salvini saying, "Well, we have to be very careful about signing our ports away to the Chinese and all this stuff." Like, that wasn't even on the fucking plan, for Christ's sake. The Chinese just wanted to come in and throw some money on the table and say, "Hey, look, we can give the finger to Brussels too, you know." So, but again, it's always portrayed in the press like they're one step away from failing, because Five Star Movement is mostly leftist and the League is mostly rightist. So their natural narrative is that these two guys are strange bedfellows, because they don't ever want anybody to understand that they're united in their hatred of Brussels. They're united in their hatred of globalism, the euro, the European Union, and everything that is rotten in the city of London, Washington, D.C., Wall Street, the Southern District of New York, the TPP, all of that. It's all, they hate it all, but they have to. And that's what the people who voted to leave in Britain hate. It's what we who voted for Trump hate. We're not getting any of that. The elites keep, you know, saying, no, you can't have that. You don't know what you voted for. Look what you voted for. You voted for a guy who pisses on a hooker in a bedroom in Moscow. No, you guys don't know what you voted for. It's nonsense. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, and it's childish. And every time they pull it off, and every time they go that route, it just jacks that many more people out of the matrix. When you look at the polls of what's happening in Britain, all they're doing is making people even more angry, even angrier at them. But yet they cannot stop. Everybody's on autopilot. The European Union cannot be stopped. It has to keep going. It is the greatest project in the history of man as far as these people are concerned. And they will take the slings and arrows to bring humanity kicking and screaming into the future to create the new Soviet man. The new European man. You know, pull the other leg, it plays fucking Jingle Bells. But going back even further than this, understanding what's actually at stake here. Because what did Salvini talk about? And what has Salvini and Di Maio been pushing through Italian parliament? 2 laws to take control of the Italian sovereign gold reserves and take them away from the Bank of Italy, which is mostly owned, like our Federal Reserve is here in the United States, by all the primary dealer banks in Italy. Well, guess what? They're all sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Italian sovereign debt that they can't pay. That's then been suborned out to German and Portuguese and Spanish and Dutch and banks all around Europe. That's what those Target 2 imbalances all are. So at the end of the day, if Salvini and Di Maio want to pull Italy out of the euro, Draghi's already said, the head of the ECB, Mario Draghi's already said, if you want to do that, you're going to have to settle up your Target 2 imbalances. You know what that means? That means that we get to take control of that. We're gonna have to bail in every one of these banks that's insolvent. We're going to wipe out all the depositors. We're going to make our creditors whole, and we're going to transfer ownership of these banks to to Deutsche Bank, Commerzbank, ING, the BNP Paribas, you name it, all of these banks. And guess what? Just like they did with Banco Popular and Santander 2 years ago. Now, what would that actually mean? It means that by definition, then, if they've turned over the ownership, if they've taken the ownership of things like Intesa Sanpaolo and Monte dei Paschi and all these other big Italian banks, guess what? They all own the Bank of Italy. And if they own the Bank of Italy and the Bank of Italy owns the sovereign gold of the country of Italy, then all of a sudden they get all the gold too. It hit me last night while I was sitting on this. Why are they doing this? They're doing this they're telling the Bank of Italy, sell the gold back to us at 1930s prices so that we can put it on our balance sheet and we can give it back to the people. And then they have leverage in their discussions with the European Union as to how to deal with their fucking debt. Then this shit gets real. Then this shit gets real. Any thought that Salvini wasn't the real deal, this should end those qualms. Because if they do that, then the Bank of Italy has no assets worth stealing. The Germans' MO in all of this has been to sell all of Europe, all of their shit, finance their current account and their trade surplus by allowing all these other countries to use their credit rating to load up on debt to buy their fucking cars. And then turn right around and go, well, you owe us so much money, we have to then take all your shit. That's what they did to Greece. Well, you owe us $300 billion. Well, we're going to take all your ports, and we're going to take all of your hard assets in the entire country, and we're going to restructure your debt, and you still owe us $350 billion. That's what they're going to do to Italy. But if you take the gold off the table, they got nothing. Now, Greece didn't have enough gold to matter, but Italy's got some of the biggest, the third or fourth largest gold reserves in the world. Italy's not broke. Italy's only broke because gold is $1,300 an ounce. But Italy could take that gold, put it back on the government's balance sheet. Let the Bank of Italy go fucking tits up. Give that back to the Europeans. Watch all their collateral change completely fucking shit the bed. And then they go, well, we don't want to be in the euro anymore anyway. Well, you have to settle up your target 2 imbalances. Here, you can have the Bank of Italy. Fuck you. Now we're done. Issue new lira, be done with it. That's coming. It's not coming tomorrow. It's not going to come until after the European parliamentary elections. Why Salvini is going after the European parliamentary elections so hard is to put the fear of God into Juncker and Merkel and Tusk and the rest of them, to weaken Merkel even further politically at home. Because if they can pull that off, they will have the opportunity to really begin to, they will have so much more political clout at home to do anything radical that they need to do. You've got to understand that the Italian people are not ready for Italexit or Italy. They're not ready for it. Both Lega and M5S campaigned on not taking them out of the euro. And Salvini has been clear on this. We don't want to leave the EU. We want to reform it from within. But what if it's irredeemable? Which he knows it is. He's not stupid. On one side of his mouth, he says the EU is tyrannical and evil and needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. On the next time he opens his mouth, he says, well, we want to reform it from within. 2 + 2 = what? 5, 6, 12? Come on, give me a fucking break, Matteo. But he has to do that. He has to prove it, that he's got the political clout to go around Europe, wrangle everybody up, get all those cats herded, and march them into the European Parliament as a force to tell that fucking jackass Guy Verhofstadt to sit his fat ass down. And then, when you're in that position, when you've weathered all of these storms, when you've been the longest sitting Italian government in God knows how many years, then you can turn around and say to the people, look, you saw what happened with Brexit. You saw what they did to Greece. You see what they're about to do to us? We've been trying. We took our gold back from these people because we don't trust them. And you want to be a part of them? This is what you want? This is what's killing you. We can solve this. We can finish this. It's 2,451 tons. Yes, Tim Cutler. It's a huge amount of gold. AF rules, they're not going to sell the gold. That's what the Financial Times will tell you. That's what the Guardian will tell you. That's what the New York Times will tell you. That's what Bloomberg will tell you. That's what Die Welt will tell you. No, they don't want the gold to sell it. That's the typical narrative. Well, they're going to use it to fund all their populist programs. No, they're not going to sell their gold. It's a preparation for reissuing the lira if necessary. It's to get leverage in negotiations with debt restructuring. We did give the Germans all their gold back. It took us 7 or 8 years to get it, to do so. Is Steve Bannon still an influencer over there? He may be. I'm not sure. So I want to. You got to think this one through. Think what's the point here? Why would you do something like that? Okay. I think Italy is. I think these guys are setting up for something big. I really do. I don't see any other way out of it. They're not playing games here. You know, they're just not. You know, Theresa May from the beginning has been playing games with Brexit to try and you know, get it all to work out so she could save the Tories and fuck the people over. And now that push has come to shove, now she's just gonna fuck the people over. And it's sad, and it's insane, and I'm getting very tired of being told by Germans that, because I have been behind the scenes by at least three or four prominent Germans saying a no-deal Brexit is not possible. They need to accept the fact that Norway is the best they're going to do. I'm like, yeah, from your perspective. I'm sorry, I just don't agree, and I don't care about the history, and I don't care about the history, and I don't care about any of this shit. I mean, I have people emailing me stuff about 18th century German politics and Bismarck and all this crap. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. None of that matters now. 17.4 million people voted to leave the European Union. That's what's going on here. 150 years of history does not fucking matter. It matters a little bit, but it actually doesn't matter to today's people who live here today. Right? It's the same thing. Look, 140, 150, 60 years ago now, we fought a civil war here in the United States, and Florida was on the wrong side. I got news for you. None of that matters a fucking bit when Florida wants to secede again in 2024 or 2028. Because the Northeast is going to continue to think that they run this country as they fall into a complete and utter cultural depravity. The same impulses are there. The same cultural differences may still be there. But I got news for you. It's not going to be because we were fucked over during Reconstruction. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. Or not we, because my people were still in Italy. Florida being fucked over during Reconstruction is not going to have a goddamn bit of difference as to whether or not New York is going to let us leave the Union. Okay? It's 140 years ago. It's an it's almost 2 cycles worth of human history. This cycle is different. It's different than the last cycle. It's different than the Great Depression and World War II. It's different than the period of the Civil War. It's a different era, different people, different dominant philosophies, different cultures. European culture is not the same as it was 140 years ago. They're far more leftist than they were then. I just don't buy it. Just don't buy it. I just don't. This doesn't. None of that stuff matters. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a lot of there's old relationships and there's old stuff going on. It does, yeah, I get it, and that's why they're working so fucking hard to stop it. But the European Union is something that needs to die. It needs to die the death of a. It needs to die. Not just the death of 1,000 cuts. It needs to be just like, beheaded and doused in gasoline and set on fire like a zombie. Okay? It just does. It's anti-human and it needs to die. It's not the greatest force for peace on the planet. It's only the second biggest drive to war because it's the perfection of the ultimate corporatist state. Right. Stoyanovich is completely right. The reason this is happening, the reason why the Italians are in the state that they're in, is because they cannot compete at German mark prices. Think of the euro as the German Deutschmark. The lira was never competitive with the Deutschmark. And yet now Italy is being forced to compete at Germany's prices. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen if the Germans insist on austerity. All right, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to start reading comments now because otherwise I'm just going to rant off into a corner and probably not make any sense from here on out. Hayakaden says the Marxist socialist intelligentsia lost the battle, the Soviet Union, but they intend to win the war, the European Union, for empire. They just moved the capital of totalitarianism from Moscow to Brussels. Well, it's more like it's now bipolar. They've got Brussels and they've got Washington. What is NATO doing running exercises in the Black Sea this week and poking the Russian bear for sure? You answer your own questions, Stephen Burnage. I don't mean to be flip, blunt, or rude, but what are we doing? We're doing exactly what you think we're doing. We don't know how to stop. Look, one of the I touched on it earlier. Everybody's on autopilot. The reason that we're headed for the biggest financial meltdown the world has ever seen is because everybody's got an agenda. All of those agendas refuse to be let go of. No one is going to give up their power. No one is going to be dragged from the stage. No one is going to leave the stage willingly. They're going to have to be have the microphone ripped from their fingers, and they're going to have to be dragged off the stage. And they're all doing it at the same time, and they're all trying to drag each other off the stage. And it's crazy. And it's not going to work. The people are like, we're at a cabaret, for fuck's sake. There's 30 freaking people up there. They're all fighting with each other saying, I'm the Mary, I'm the star, I'm the star. And all the people are throwing eggs at them. That's us. And we're all throwing eggs at them and tomatoes. And they get the fuck off the stage. Give this bitch the hook. Get her out of here. No, I'm the Mary. I'm in charge. I'm the star. No, you're not the star. I mean, the only way it's even remotely entertaining is if you jack out of the Matrix, sit back and go, wow, these people are insane. This shit's good cable. You got gold, you got goats, and you got guns. For the most part, you're insulated from all of this shit. And you got no debt, you're in pretty good shape. So, FN base, this guy is badass. Dude, I haven't even gotten warmed up yet. Meet me tomorrow night on Halsey English and Dustin Gold's channel on Deplorable TV. I really let my hair down then. Oh, FYI, I will be on with Jeff Rentz tonight at 10 o'clock for an hour. I will, of course, have to keep it clean on Jeff's show. If they attempt to pass through the Kerch Strait, the problem is that most of NATO's ships don't their draft is too heavy. They're too heavy. Their draft is too deep. So they can't even make it through the Kerch Strait. The Kerch Strait is only like 5 to 7 feet deep or something like that, or 10 feet deep. And most of NATO ships have a deeper draft than that. So it is what it is. It's mostly empty threat. We're not going to start a naval war in Russia's backyard. John Bolton is not that stupid. So no one can compete with Germany's economy. Never have. Agreed. And that's why Germany should not, that's why the European Union should not be run by Germany. I think Tom is best, Tom. You guys always say that. And I got news for you. You know, I know you guys love it, but it's terrible for the channel's growth, to be honest with you. So, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I have anything fundamentally against Germany. Don't take that rant against Germany the wrong way, because I don't really care one way or the other. My point is that politically, the Germans and how they're running the European Union and how they expect the European Union to be operated, in order for them to even have signed up for it in the first place, they've put so many freaking demands. They've so thoroughly put their imprimatur over the entire thing that it doesn't work for everybody. And it's not possible for it to grow other than by legally subsuming everybody else using American money and American military might and American political might to destabilize more and more countries around the in their periphery and then suck them in. But there's going to come a limit. I mean, I really do think that at some point these people thought that they were going to destroy Russia and get Russia to join the European Union. I'm sure that was in their plans. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why they hate Putin so much. Because Putin's like, fuck, I ain't in. No. Russia is for Russia. So. Wait till you see Angry Tom. I don't have a link to the Jeff Rentz show. Just rents.com or whatever. rentsradio.com. That's a scary cabaret. Well, think about it. I'm the Mary. Oh, God. Have you guys ever seen Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion? It's like, I watched because that's what I'm talking about. Because there's a great flash forward to them when they're on their deathbeds. Because there's this old thing running between them in the thing. It's like, one of them believes that they're the Mary Tyler Moore and the other one's the sidekick. And that's if they fight about it throughout the entire movie. It's really fucking funny as shit. If you grew up in the 80s, and, you know, if you went to high school in the 80s, like Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion is like, it's not even farce. It's kind of documentary, actually. And and it's hysterical. I really think the movie is really funny. But there's that gag running throughout the entire movie about, you know, oh no, I'm the Mary. No, I'm the Mary. And there's a flash forward to when they're on their deathbed, like laying next to each other on their deathbeds in the hospital, like screaming at each other, going, I'm the Mary. Oh, it's really funny. I mean, you know, Mira Sorvino, Lisa Kudrow, when they were both young and hot. Oh, it's a great movie. All right. I haven't watched it in years. Oh God, I think it was just really good. All right. Fun Fang says, I've got gold, no room for goats, and not allowed to have guns, so I'm moving to where I'm allowed to have all three. My work here is done. All right. Let's see. Wait till you see Angry Tom. Yeah, they're trying to force Ukrainian ships through, and yes, Bolton is that stupid. Well, we'll see what happens. The thing is, you know, and I've heard this from so many people. They're like, the Russians don't dare, like, you know, like shoot one of our ships down. Well, I got news for you, dude. They will. The Kerch Strait is now Russian territory. It is. War with I am so. Germans are like machines, similar to Japanese mindset, and the Chinese, again, similar. All disciplined, highly organized cultures, or at least Germany was. Yeah, was would be the key word. It doesn't matter, right? You know, the cultures are what they are. There's massive cultural differences between the Germans and the Italians. What movie? Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. Yes, love that movie. Exactly, Donna. No, Edward Abbey, I haven't had a chance to listen to any of the stuff that you sent me. To be honest with you, I'm really sorry. I haven't, because I just haven't. So I've got to shit like everything else, man. God, I have so much going on. Yes, Stephen Byrne says, I've done a lot of business with German companies over the years. They're very disciplined, but they're very inflexible. Well, welcome to the European Union. And now you know why the European Union is the way it is. Until Germany is no longer in charge of the EU, this is what we're going to see from the EU. And they will continue to be this inflexible until the whole thing collapses. Stoyanovich. So imagine this quote from Putin. Russia just got out of the USSR and now it was finally recovering and beginning to prosper. And now you want us to join the EUSSR? What are you, fucking high? Tom, Bruce Lutz says that I underestimate John Bolton. He is quite stupid. I know he's stupid. I just think he's paranoid. I think he's a paranoid schizophrenic, if you want my honest opinion. I think his mustache needs to reach up into his up through his nose and throttle his brain. That would be poetic justice. Italians are far too emotional to be disciplined. No, the problem with the Italians is that we ran the world once. We're just not interested in doing it again. The Germans, one of these days, the Germans will finally like rule the world, and then they'll realize that ruling the world kind of sucks, and then they'll get it out of their system. But until they do, we're all in trouble. It's almost like bad political systems don't work, says Cube Dog. Yeah, no, really? Hold on. Ready? And there we go. Yeah, let's straighten that out. There we go. You don't have to read the whole book. Just read chapter 10. But if you read the whole book, you'll understand why a lot of this is going on. David and PL asks, am I a conservative? No, I'm a hardcore anarcho-libertarian, actually. So I hate everybody equally, and everybody hates me equally. I'm everybody's asshole because I piss off on everyone. Yeah. So, but you know, nominally speaking, I love guys like Matteo Salvini. I don't agree with him about everything, but at the end of the day, I don't believe in. I don't believe in governments in general. At a philosophical level, I understand that we have what we have, and let's not get into that part of it. But guys like Matteo Salvini challenging the transnational superstate that is the European Union, oh, that's politics makes strange bedfellows. He's no frothing at the mouth anarchist or anything, and really neither am I. I just tend to speak really loud and gesticulate wildly, but mostly I just sit at home and analyze politics and milk my goats because I'm watching the traffic splash by. So, this is Bolton suffers from ingrown mustache. So no, I am a libertarian, and of the world should operate via the non-aggression principle variety of libertarian. I'm not a Republican who just doesn't like paying taxes, which is what most libertarians, people who self-identify as libertarians, actually are. Stoyanovich asks me, what will Turkey do now that Bolton is convinced to throw convinced Trump to throw Turkey under the bus for the Kurds. Are they waiting for the S-400s to go active? Turkey is probably going to invade northeastern Syria. Erdogan keeps making noise about that. The next thing he's going to do is he's going to kick us out of Incirlik. If he can. So Italy, one belt, one road, and China backdoor into Europe. Comments, Tom? They got the Greek port for 99 years is now as well. It's part of Salvini's strategy, Salvini and Di Maio's strategy to keep everybody in Europe on their off foot, right? There are plenty of other countries that have signed MOUs, memorandums of understanding, with the Chinese vis-a-vis Belt and Road. This has happened. There's plenty of countries that have done so. But having Italy do so, which pissed off both Trump and Merkel, is telling you that they are going to pursue whatever is in Italy's best interest. And if that means going against Brussels' wishes, if that means running up against some of the EU's directives, and believe me, the EU will respond to this in very specific ways if Italy signs up for things that Merkel doesn't want. But I think it's a great idea. I think it's something they should do. They need the foreign investment, and China needs to have more tentacles into Europe to try and attenuate it. So Shane asks, so you're a small local government kind of guy at best? Yeah, I would prefer a government that governs least governs best. So I would prefer not to see multiple layers of government all with their hand in my fucking pocket telling me what to do. Yeah, I kind of would like that. And the EU is just the nanny state writ large. It's everything you don't want in a government. It's a technocratic bureaucracy that's run by people who are unelected. The parliament that's elected has almost zero legislative power. You can't get rid of people in the European Commission. It's so far removed from the people itself. It's at least, the European Commission is at least 3 layers removed from the national governments over which the people over which they are governed from these are the 28 member states. And then those people themselves are then governed by their own sovereign governments and their own local county or state governments and their own town governments. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. And you wonder why tax rates are 75 and 80%. Do you think do you think this shit's sustainable? I mean, even those hardest core Marxist has to understand that taxing people at 75 to 80% is just capital destructive. They don't, of course, because they think Bernie Sanders is some kind of economic fucking genius when he's just a moldy old commie from Brooklyn. Greg Rockenberger says, so no legal guns here in Cambodia. I don't think I've ever seen a goat, but being 9,000 miles away from ground zero makes it a little easier to enjoy the farce of all this. Greg, you're in Cambodia? Wow, cool. I worked with a guy, an American, who actually, when I was working with the guy in Vietnam, we actually for a while worked with an American who was living in Phnom Penh. And I learned a lot about Cambodia. Very interesting place. So, only Obama and Bolton can bring centuries-long enemies into an alliance, the Russians and the Greeks. The Russians and the Chinese. The whole world needs to kick out U.S. military and CIA bases. It's the only way. Well, that's not happening until the dollar is on the terminal downside. Tenjin says Turkey should be able to steamroll the Kurds. Yes. Unless the U.S. actively protects them. Not unless the U.S. are willing to fly planes out of a Turkish airbase to attack Turkish armor without thinking that the Turkish army isn't then going to overrun that airbase and seize and nationalize all the assets there. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Settle the Kurds in upstate New York. Solid red again. I'm not in favor of China. Okay? Let's stop here for a second. Let's remind ourselves what we're dealing with here. When you're analyzing geopolitics, it's all a miasma of suck. You have the United States, which sucks. You've got Britain, which sucks. You've got the European Union, which sucks. You've got Russia, which sucks a little less. And you've got China, which sucks a little bit more. They all suck. But analyzing how they fight amongst themselves and looking at what is the dominant paradigm and what is the not dominant paradigm, or the up and coming new paradigm, is what we're analyzing. We're not talking about the world I want. I've said this many, many times, but this is the world we've got. So in the short term, Russia and China, and to a lesser extent Iran, to me, form an axis of resistance against the Borg that is the Western oligarchic Atlantic, the Sacred calls them the Atlanticist Ziocons, which I don't even have, can't even work with that shit. But the old money in the West that has its hands firmly up the asses of all the national leaders in the West, with the exception of a couple of people, Salvini, Orban, right? Nigel Farage, who's not really a leader, but eventually is going to wind up being Prime Minister of Britain. When you're analyzing this stuff, I have no love or love loss or interest in the Chinese. I think the Chinese Communist Party is horrific. I think China's social credit system is horrific. Nothing I can do about it. But they're the ascendant culture, economy, whatever you want to call them. And we're not going to change the current dynamic if China, Russia, and Iran lose. The European Union has to be destroyed. Because if the European Union is not destroyed, then everything that makes the West, and makes the West worth its traditions, starts and ends with destroying the EU and draining the swamp in Washington. As a person who grew up in this society, and as a person who's a product of this culture, I don't want to see this culture go away. I want it reformed. I don't know that it is reformable, but I'm going to fight for that. And if the Russians and the Chinese can put pressure on this system to force it to reform, then I'm going to be rooting for them to do that. The minute they're done helping us reform ourselves, oh no, now the guns get turned on them. And then I start looking at them and saying, no, y'all need to get your own shit together and stay over there. No, I'm happy to trade with you, but stay the fuck over there. But we're not there right now. The big game at this point is, what do we do to get rid of the corrupt and virulent globalist order that we have here in the United States and in Europe? It's got to end. But believe me, I got big fucking plans. I got big fucking plans for when I'm 75. Because I'm 51 now, but I figured over the next 15 years or so, 15, 18 years, when I'm 70, oh, believe me, I won't be writing for Strategic Culture Foundation in 20 years from now, saying nice things about the Russians. Got news for you. Mark Bogosian says, insightful Tom is the best Tom. Thank you, Mark. It would be cool if NATO broke apart. It's completely useless. I know that, you know, when you analyze what's going on with Trump and the foreign policy and all this stuff, you know that at a certain level. The only thing, okay, this is what I'll say. I don't know that Trump is capable at this point, if he's not too compromised, to redeem himself in the second half of his administration. He's probably going to win re-election. It's going to take the Democrats not being Democrats for him to lose, or massive voter fraud, which is always possible. But in an even close to reasonably fair election, Trump should win in a walk. Meaning for a Republican at this point in time, that's about 350 electoral votes. Now, see, fun thing, I don't think so. I've been following Nigel for quite a long time, and I don't think Farage has controlled opposition. I think Farage was tired of fighting. And he said, very succinctly, he said, look, we finally had a government. We had a general election. We had a referendum. We had a general election. And they invoked Article 50 with the biggest majority this country's seen in forever on anything important. He's like, my work is done here. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I wish he hadn't done what he did. I understand that. And Nigel was a little naive, possibly. Maybe not just possibly. Nigel was a little naive, but that doesn't make him controlled opposition. Don't be that black-pilled. That guy's going to go right into the Brexit party, right into European elections. He's going to carry 25 or even 28% of the vote. You watch. He'll carry 25 to 28% of the vote in the European parliamentary elections, and then there's going to be a general election in Britain. And you bet your fat ass, you bet everything you've got that Farage will put MPs in British Parliament at the next election. You bet it will happen. It's time for that. The Russia wants to be left alone. You're right, Fiona Whelan. Collective West wouldn't leave Russia alone. No, of course not. There's just too much money. There's too much there. Do you see... Juan Isaac asks, do I see Saudi Arabia and Turkey going to war? No, I don't. If that was going to happen, it would have happened last year when Turkey backed Qatar militarily. Greg Rockenberger says, yeah, Cambodia is a great place to expat if you're a little bit adventurous. My brother visited Cambodia, and yeah, I heard some of that, and that's exactly what this guy Todd that I talked to, that I worked with for a while, said. It's, and it minds its own business. It's relatively free, low cost of living, dollar economy, lovely people, waiting out the shit show. Yeah. I mean, the ruling party is nominally communist, but it is what it is. They'll just take whatever money they can get. Still be raising goats at 75? Doubt it. 70-year-old Tom will still be feisty Tom. Oh. If I outlive my father, yeah. So, but, yeah. I've got about 3 minutes, and then I gotta go because I've got to get prepped to do Jeff Rense in about 45 minutes after that. So I don't want to run into that. Don't want to run along tonight. Young Germans believe the EU will give them nice apartments, high-paying jobs, and plenty of free time to enjoy the fruits of others' labor. Well, it's worked for the last 40 years. His new Brexit party will split the levers. We'll see. Look, like everything else, there's not going to... This is the problem with majoritarian voting. Okay, this is the problem with first past the post systems. You want this? You want a revolution in politics, in British politics? Go for proportional representation. It'll never happen. At least it's not going to happen in a time frame that any of us care about vis-a-vis Brexit. You know, we need proportional representation here in the United States because this current system is this bullshit. It's just an endless prisoner's dilemma that's insanely, insanely corrupting. And if you want really, and if you want my, you know, if you want my honest opinion, you know, what you guys should be arguing for, what you should be working towards, is a modified board account system. And if you don't know what a board account is, and I mean that, and the word that it's named after a French mathematician named Jean Lefebvre Borda. Just look up board account, B-O-R-D-A. A board account is very simple. It's just it's just preference voting. So it's not preference voting. It's effectively, say there are 5 candidates. You order the 5 candidates up from 1 to 5. First place gets 5 points. Second place gets 4 points. Or, you know, you get X number of first place votes, X number of second place votes, third, fourth, fifth. And then you total up the number of points that everybody gets based on, you know, so you can then order things up so that, you know, if you're a libertarian, for example, in the United States, you can vote for the libertarian first. Then you can vote, say, for the Republican second, depending on the election and depending on the people. And then you can vote for the Democrat third. And then you can vote for the Green third. And then you can vote for Hillary Clinton like 9th, right? I mean, that's what you should do. And so, I mean, I would write Gus Hall in before I would ever vote for fucking Hillary Clinton. Okay. And, you know, and the only way I would modify the straight board account, which is mathematically that, you know, the guy with the most second place votes could actually wind up winning mathematically, is to say that if you get a plurality of first place votes, that person wins, ignore everything else. But if that person doesn't get a plurality, this is what the modified board account comes into. That person doesn't get a majority of first place votes, then you just total up the points. And it gives people the ability to order the candidates in the rank of preference, and it helps to do away and minimize the prisoner's dilemma. It doesn't eliminate it. And strategic voting and all that. But it doesn't eliminate it. But it does improve the system radically. What's the topic on rents? Probably similar stuff. We'll probably talk about Brexit, because I haven't talked to him in months. So we'll probably talk about Brexit in detail. And we'll probably talk about a little about the stuff with German economy too. We'll talk about the German economy, but all right, it's 57 minutes. I'm pretty much I started late tonight, so I probably should probably get going. Why does Britain still have first past the post when most of the rest of Europe is proportional representation for decades? Because all of them have governments that are less than 60 fucking years old. They were all rebuilt after World War II. The Brits have been doing it this way for hundreds of years. That's why. And we inherited their system. And because the 2 big parties do not want to change it. Vote Cthulhu. Never, ever choose the lesser evil. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. You guys, this has been great. It's been fun. I don't know if it's been great fun, but it's been great and it's been fun. So, as always, if you like what you heard tonight and you're new, please give a like and subscribe down below. Bang the notification bell. I do this every Monday night at 8 and every Friday night at 8:30, as well as sometimes during the week. I think I'm going to go back to not doing live streams for my interweek updates, because I think there's something going on with YouTube's algorithm that normal videos are not being I think I'm thoroughly shadow banned from a live stream perspective, because, well, I fucking curse like a sailor, but I don't do so in my regular videos, and therefore I think because growth is like hit a fucking wall. So gonna go back to doing it the old way, which is actually a lot harder for me to do because bandwidth. All right, you guys take care. You have a great night. We will talk soon. As always, keep your stick on the ice.